where nobody is left behind. By combining the principles of the circular economy and social businesses, we are not only able to address the environmental and economic impacts that the circular economy promises, but we are adding the social component by reaching the triple bottom line impacts of benefiting people, planet, and profits. Transforming our economic system might seem like an impossible task, but it is only impossible until it is being done. And for human beings, everything is possible. I want to leave you with one quote by Professor Muhammad Yunus, a message that I think is more important than ever than today. He calls upon the need for peace building, because peace is not the absence of war. Peace is a state in which every human being has equal access to economic opportunity, social opportunities, and a clean environment. Let us all work towards a world of 3 zeros and an equal access to opportunities for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Round of applause, Ms. Christina Jäger. And please join with me on the stage, as we, of course, will follow a bit later with the panel. And now we are hearing some case studies. So to keep our conversation and session very tangible, we will have 2 case studies, and first case study on the waste management, circular economy principles implementation. We will hear from the distinguished member of the parliament, Mr. Murat Kurum, who is the head of the Environment Committee of the Parliament of Turkiye. And Mr. Murat, you have the floor. He is coming. I see already. A round of applause to a member of the parliament, Mr. Murat Kurum. Let's encourage him to come to the stage, and we are very excited to hear your case study, Mr. Murat. So, Mr. Murat, we are aware that as we are here today celebrating the World Cities Day in Istanbul, in Turkey, that you have a good list of best practices and strategies and interventions at the national and local government level, what the local government can adopt in moving towards circular economy and having efficient waste management. So maybe you can share some insights, and later on when we have a full panel, we have, of course, exchanges further on. Please, you have the floor.
Çok teşekkür ediyorum.
Thank you so much. Now, we're here on the occasion of the World Cities Day, and we're here at the capital of our civilization, and it's a privilege for us to be able to host you here. And I would like to say welcome to our country, to our Istanbul. We're here in the district of Uskudar. So the event is being organized here, and it's meaningful because the district of Istanbul has a lot of history, a lot of buildings which have been registered as historical buildings. It goes way back when. So it's one of the most distinguished neighborhoods in our city. And sustainability practices actually have seen some good examples here in Uskudar, going back to our discussions of this understanding of leaving no one behind. So Uskudar and Istanbul hopefully will stand as examples for the world with some good practices. I am the former Minister of Environment and Climate Change in my country. So during my term of office also, we already started taking some steps, both nationally and locally. We identified targets for each of our 81 cities, 81 provinces, with an understanding of circular economy, an understanding of green economy. We identified those targets, also considering zero emission target of our country by 2053. So that's our national commitment. And also we have prepared a draft for a new climate change law in Turkey. Hopefully it will soon be ratified in our parliament. Well, before I start talking about sustainability, first let me touch upon the following. Today in Gaza, a drama is unfolding. And in Gaza, before learning how to walk, unfortunately, children learn how to die. And those children who survive in front of their very eyes, their family members, their parents are being slaughtered. And unfortunately, the whole world is watching this. So here we are talking about sustainability, talking about a circular economy, and talking about leaving a better world for our children. And in this scope, actually, I mean, in our civilization, our ancestors, what they taught us is the following. Regardless of a religious, sectarian, linguistic, or ethnic background, we have always been a nation who has embraced those who are vulnerable. And we have been a nation who has been the voice of those without a voice. And we'll continue to do that. So if we are to leave a good future and a good world to our children, this fight must be fought in all fields. 8 billion people in the world, they are all equal. This is the kind of understanding we have to have. And what we want and what we would like to see is that as soon as possible, this genocide in Gaza should come to an end. And children there, rest assured, they don't have anymore a city that they can live in, and they don't even have a house to go back to. I was yesterday with college students who live here to attend college. Those are Palestinian youngsters who go to college in Istanbul. They have done a lot so far. They left their home to come here to Turkey. Some of them major medicine, some of them major nursing, some of them major engineering, you name it. And they sacrifice for their country, these Palestinian youngsters. I admire them for their efforts. And if we are to leave a good future for our children, I mean, this also holds true. This is the case in Russia, this is the case in Ukraine, this is the case in Gaza, and this is how we should work. Of course, the climate is changing, as you have put it. When it comes to fighting against climate change, this bad course of events actually can be stopped by our generation. We're the last generation to say to stop this. The world is 2 degrees, is about to become 2 degrees hotter. Then it won't be livable anymore. So the impact of climate change is being experienced by the entire world, locally and nationally. If you look at our country, for the last 40 years, in floods in our country, we lost 1,200 people. Buildings have been damaged, and workplaces, likewise, have been damaged with floods. So this is an important fight. And as I said, in line with our 2053 targets, we have been taking some steps. And in the context of circular economy, we started an initiative of zero waste. About 6 years ago, Mrs. Emine Erdoğan started acting as the leader of and acting through her auspices. She initiated the Zero Waste Initiative, and right now 150,000 public buildings are part of this initiative. And our recycling ratio is about 30%. When the project first started, it was around 8% only recycling. So resources are not limitless. That's the awareness we have in mind. So this is how we work. And what we want is that all substances produced should be reused as raw material later on. Because in order to produce paper, you have to cut thousands of trees. And a pair of blue jeans, thousands of tons of water need to be used in textile production. So this awareness should become a well-established culture, and we should have a conscientious society. If you don't have conscience, then you will waste. Actually, the most important value of zero waste is talking about a society or world which doesn't waste. So this is how we work. It's been 6 years now. So what have we gained? 140 million trees were not cut. And 7.5 million people have been trained so far as part of this initiative. And as a piece of curriculum, this will be part of what is being taught at schools, because we made an agreement with our Minister of Education. And 65 million Turkish liras worth of economic gain has been reaped. This is also important. I actually took note of some data, and if you allow me, let me read those data. 530 million kilowatts of energy savings has been ensured. Look at the Russia-Ukraine war. We're talking about an energy crisis. So, each country has to be self-sufficient. Renewable resources should be used in the most efficient way, not recklessly, not in a reckless way. Moving away from fossil resources and using renewables at a maximum level, and working on micro-mobility. So in line with our zero waste practice, 87 million tons of barrels of oil was not used, and 70 million cubic meters of water was saved also. These are important items of savings, and hopefully these savings will need to be made sustainable. There should be an accumulated effect. And this is not a fight that Turkey can fight alone. If you look at our history, actually, it's so little, because we are a developing country. And as a developing country, actually, when you compare what we did as compared to the damage caused by developed countries, we're now fighting with this, and we are now a party to the Paris Agreement, and our parliament ratified that agreement. And what we want is for our children, for our youngsters, they should have some hope into the future, and they should live within green, with no war, with peace, in such an environment, in such a future, and we are ready to continue this fight in all fields.
Your consideration, but also very key aspects, setting a very clear targets, setting also clear policy implementations between the stakeholders, and also pointing out the key sectors where the, let's say, low-hanging fruits might be one. From the textile industry, you said, saving energy, but also the waste, recycling, and more focus on the circular economy. So thank you very much for your insights, and we will, of course, have a very exciting panel ahead. Before that, it's my honor to invite a mayor who is coming from Gambia, and the mayor of Banjul, Madam Rohem Malik Lo, and we will hear from her the zero waste initiatives, or the principles or the understandings and discussions in Gambia, and especially in the municipality of Banjul. Madam Mayor, you have the floor to address the audience. Applause, please. It keeps you also energized, yes? We give some motivation, and then we continue the discussion.
much. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. First and foremost, I would love to introduce myself. As the moderator said, my name's Arohi Malik Law, the first female mayor in the Gambia and indeed the president of the locally elected women in Africa. I am also the second vice president of the Global Parliament of Mayors, and I will take this opportunity to invite each and every one of you in our networks. It's a pleasure and honor to stand here and talk about waste, which is now, I will say, the talk of the world. And I want to quote from the Secretary General Guterres, who said, we should now be walking the talk. So, and I'm sure from here, after this panel, we will all mobilize as colleagues, as concerned citizens, to make zero waste our own business. It is not only the business of the mayors, and as always, when there is a lot of waste in the cities, they always call mayors and say, hey, here are our waste. But now we want to make it a business of each and every citizen. Indeed, in my country, we are not into, we don't have any case study at the moment to deal with zero waste, meaning that we are in the process, but we don't have it legalized already. We don't have any policy binding the zero waste in my country. So what we are doing, about a year or 2 years ago, we received, in my city, a funding from the European Union. So we were knowing the importance of waste and wanted to be also part of the projects and the system for the waste, zero waste. We decided to implement, to have this also as part of our project. So what are we doing? What we are doing is, we will start, when we talk about waste, zero waste, the first thing that should come to mind is, how do you manage your waste? How do you use your waste? Do you reuse? Do you reuse? And how do you produce? So this is what comes to mind mostly. So what we're doing now is we started also working with the parliamentarians to have policies, because policies are very, very important. When we bring it to the level of the city, is what is called the bylaws. But we are saying no. We want this to go all over across the nation, so therefore we need policies to bind us. We need policies to guide us. So thank God now that my government has taken this very seriously. And what are we doing? We started by having policies to say that we are going to ban plastics. So it means that from a month ago in the Gambia, nobody can bring plastics again in the Gambia. The plastics are totally banned. So that has started helping us a lot, because we need starting. We need the citizens to be part of this, to take us seriously. And so therefore, we need the partnership of the central government. So thank God that policy has been taking place. And then we have what we call the anti-littering bill. The anti-littering bill also has been put into effect. So, and then at the level of the city council, we have what we call the bylaws for the anti-littering bills. So meaning that now if you have your waste, for example, if you have the cup or the plastic cup or anything, the first thing that comes to mind, because you know that now it's very, very difficult to just throw away plastics or whatever you want, or to have them. It's going to be very difficult, because we are saying we are not allowing any plastic to enter the country again. So now people reduce the way they use plastic. And again, they reuse it. And again, we are producing, recycling, which comes to the waste and money, waste wealth. So actually, we have also, this brings also employment, because we have, in the Gambia, we have a youthful population. So therefore now, the youths are also taking the opportunity to be empowered through waste the money, or waste to funds, as some people might call it. So if you look at waste to wealth, it has many ways, many benefits. When we talk about wealth, wealth is not only money. Wealth can be health. Wealth, you empower people. When you empower people, you make them wealthy. So therefore, youth and the vulnerable also, that is the woman, because in Africa, or let me broaden up to Africa, the women are more in the informal sector. So when we talk about waste, most of the people that benefit from this are indeed women. So I am happy, glad, and very proud to see that what we call waste of yesterday that cannot be reduced or reproduced is now today becoming wealth. It's now today empowering the youth. It's now today empowering the women of the Gambia and by extension Africa. I'm saying Africa because if you listen to my introduction, I said I am the president of the locally elected women in Africa. So, Mr. Moderator, it is my honor and pleasure to stand here talking about a topic that is very, very close to my heart, a topic, indeed, that has benefit to the world, a topic that will change the narratives by empowering the vulnerable women, changing the narratives by empowering, indeed, our youth. So this is a topic that worth talking about. This is a topic that want to bring debates about it. This is a topic that should be called to action from today, especially as mayors. We should be going to our people, sensitize them, mobilize them, talk to them about how waste can be changed to wealth, and also discuss to them about the case studies that we have had that my colleagues here has explained. So, Mr. Moderator, on that note, I think I will stop here and take any questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Please take a seat with us, and we will continue. Round of applause to our Mayor, and very passionate exchange of the insights, what she believes, and also what has been already discussed in Gambia, and especially in the city of Banjul. Now, it's my pleasure. Please be ready to give a very good round of applauses, because we invite also the rest of the panel, and we can actually kick off the discussion. First, it's my honor to invite Mr. Ebudekir Gizligirer, Mr. Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Forestry, Government of Turkiye. Please, sir, you take the floor. Next, I'm honored to invite Ms. Catalina Velasco, who is the Minister of Housing, City and Territory of Colombia. Warmer applause, I would invite. Next is my honor to invite Ms. Heidi Solba, who is President and Head of Global Network Let's Do It World NGO. You have the floor. And last but definitely not least is Mr. Valentin Lavey, who is the Senior Project Manager from Roland Perger, Middle East, and a member of the Waste to Zero, United Arab Emirates. You have the floor. Thank you very much for everyone joining with the panel. I hope you are excited as much as I am, because I already know that the very diverse list of speakers in front of you and representation of different stakeholders, we can actually come up with very good recommendations for the rest of the evening to continue the discussion. So I will invite first Mr. Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Forestry, Mr. Ebubekir Kisli-Gider. I hope my pronunciation is good and you understand. The program and campaign, what you have here in Republic of Turkey, the Preserve Your Food, Protect Your Table, and maybe you can enlighten the audience about the results achieved so far and the outcomes, what you have intended. As we all know that globally the food waste is a very considerable amount of the total waste, and of course, when people are starving at the same time, we should avoid. So, Mr. Kislygider, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. I'd like to extend my deepest regards to you all. As we speak now, we enjoy a happy, healthy life, whereas in another corner of the world, innocent people lose their lives. Some of them die because of hunger. But these days, some of them die just because they were born in that city. Children, women, and vulnerable people are massacred. And here today we're talking about better futures. Well, having mentioned that, I'd like to come back to our topic, from waste to wealth. This is a very important panel. Thank you for organizing this. I'd like to share with you our experience, and I'd like to tell you about our roadmap in Turkiye. According to the estimates, by 2050, the world population will go up to 10 billion from 8 billion. And this is going to be impacted by climate change, of course, fast growth of the population, and the habits of the population increase and change. This impacts consumption of food, it impacts our environment, so we have to take new measures. And we cooperate a lot with FAO. We talk about food security, nutrition report we have that was already published based on an analysis we made. We looked at the situation in the world, and that was published in the report. According to the latest numbers, 828 million people are fighting against hunger, and 2.3 billion people are under the threat of hunger in the world. And by 2030, the number of people suffering from insufficient nutrition will be more than 670 million. People will suffer from malnutrition by 2030. Governments have to take this seriously. Individuals have to take measures, otherwise we won't have a bright future, obviously. I'd like to give another figure here. Food for human consumption, not animal origin, but for human consumption. 1/3 of that is lost or wasted every year. 1/3 of the food produced for human consumption is lost every year, unfortunately. So sad. Today we started our meeting at 11 a.m. Now it's almost 5 or 6 p.m. this afternoon, and 1,040 people die per every hour. As we speak, they die because of hunger. It is so serious. The problem is so serious. This is such a urgent matter. We started to work on this in 2008, and we launched a campaign to prevent the waste of bread, loss of bread, in 2013 in order to raise awareness. And this helped us to prevent waste, bread waste, to a certain extent. We worked with FAO, and FAO presented our campaign as a good practice. In 2015, during our G20 presidency, in FAO headquarters, we established a technical platform to prevent food waste. In 2018, we came together with all the actors in the chain, and we started a technical support project to analyze the situation in Turkiye regarding food waste. And after that analysis, we obtained the opinions of at least 150 organizations. This was through the FAO office support. That's how we prepared our national roadmap. By 2030, we want to transform the food chain and we want to meet SDGs. We have prioritized some topics for that. For example, ensuring food security, preventing waste, improving food chain, and reducing the footprint of the food production chain. And we launched a campaign with FAO called Protect Your Food. And we have initiated many activities at national and international level together with FAO. I want to share with you another piece of information. In the previous legislative year, our veteran parliament made significant changes in the agricultural law. Basically, it was about adapting ourselves based on the water consumption in agriculture, understanding the water need in agriculture. And we have to obey the legacy of soil. We have to understand the language of soil. We need to plan our production accordingly. This is like a revolution for our country. We have completed the legislative work. So now we will know who will produce what, where, and when, according to the natural legacy of soil. We have to respect the soil. I want to talk about sustainability. It's a buzzword. It's a very popular word, and it is a part of our model. Now we launched urban farming model. Urban farming. Well, let me explain how we will do that. It will start in the hinterlands of big cities. We will have production bases. It has environmental benefits. It will reduce the cost and prices, and it will prevent waste. So it has many benefits. Urban farming. Between 25 to 35% waste prevention is aimed. Unfortunately, during the transport of food, a significant portion of the food is lost. Just like we're trying to decrease the footprint in carbon emission, we want to decrease the losses that happen during the transport of the food we produce. And we want to prevent waste. So I was telling you about this campaign. We worked together with the Ministry of National Education, and more than 10 million students are candidates to become food champions. The idea is to start awareness raising in the family, starting from very young children, and we get very positive results out of that.
Also, we have food workshops called Save the Food, which means being able to use the entirety of the material we have for food and for cooking. I mean, that received a lot of support from the food industry and the tourism industry. And this is also a part of our educational programs. And also some farm-related activities. We focused on waste sitting on farmland. And we made use of those, and that's like a social responsibility project. And are sensitive stakeholders. I would like to thank them all who have been with us. For example, they sold some of the produce with discounts, and they came up with other initiatives. And food literacy, I think, will also be important in the coming days. As I understand, I'm already beyond my time limits, right? I mean...
No, it's not the last chance you can actually share, but thank you very much for...
Çok teşekkür ediyorum.
Teşekkürler.
Thank you so much.
The Minister. We will also hear the other panelists, and of course we have another round. And I'd like to also prepare the audience that I will definitely invite 2 questions minimum. So please be ready. We want to also hear your voices today. And next I'm moving to the Madam Minister from Colombia, Madam Velasco. And as the topic today is waste to wealth, meaning that people need to have jobs and they have to have employment to create the wealth. As also Mayor of Banjul mentioned, that a lot of women in her country and her city are involved in the informal economy. And I'm living in Nairobi, in Kenya, and I also know that a lot of people are involved in the informal economy, especially in the waste management. So maybe you are kind to share also your experience from Colombia in supporting what the government has done in supporting the just transition, creating the green jobs, and actually supporting the informal waste management economy to also get part of the creating the wealth. Madam, you have the floor.
Hello. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody in the room and to my dear colleagues. Yes, that's a very good question, because when I first thought about the name of this panel, Waste to Wealth, my first thought was wealth for whom? Because when we are talking about the circular economy, we of course think about the main partners in the economy, not the small partners in the economy. And I have to say that in Colombia, in Latin America, in the global south, of course, many of us, we share these societies. The recycling activity is like the first step to the social ladder. People who has nothing, and I mean nothing, they pick up garbage and they make a couple dollars a day. That's the situation in my country. And I see you nodding, so I know you understand what I mean. People who really has nothing. So maybe in Colombia, we have around 30,000 people in this situation. People recycling in the streets, people in the lowest level of the economy and in the lowest level of the society. Considering this situation, in 2003, our constitutional court in Colombia mandate the Colombian state to adopt affirmative actions towards the recycling population. And what does it mean? It means recognizing and protecting them. That's the mandate we have from the Constitutional Court. And from that moment, we began to develop a value chain for this population. It's been more than 20 years already, and we have walked an important path, not as fast as we would love to, but an important path of learning, an important path of recognizing these people, their human rights. So they can continue climbing the social ladder in our society. So to fulfill this mandate, we did several tasks, and I want to tell you about the most important of them. First, providing or giving the guarantee of human rights and basic social services to those communities. And when I mean human rights, we have to know that these communities, they are discriminated, they are excluded, and they suffer violence. So that's the first step. We have to work with these communities from the state. And of course, basic education, health, and childcare and family welfare for those people. The second aspect is to impact the world conditions for this recycling population. We work on that. And for example, we had to avoid vehicles of human traction. We did have that. So the abolishment of this kind of vehicles when people with their own human force carry the recycling material, that's a first goal we are working at. Of course, building transfer stations and storage for recycling material, and going towards guaranteeing social security to those people. And the third issue, maybe the most important for this conversation, is to promoting the participation of the recycling population as entrepreneurs in the industry of waste management. That's a different approach, not only as workers, but part of the value change process, the economic process. And there are three issues very important on this participation as entrepreneurs. First, the decision that recycling material is an exclusive property of the recycling population. This is a huge decision, a legal decision in our country. So we have this duality, public utilities on waste management and the recycling population. The waste that can be recycled is of their unique property. The second issue is that in our regulatory structure, we decided that part of the tariff, which was exclusively transferred to landfills, was now destined to the recycling materials, so goes directly to the recycling population. So we share the money we have in this circular economy, so the recycling population get a part of it. And finally, we are working in the task of promoting the organization of recycling productive communitary units. So we help them to build their own enterprises, and that's like the very interesting task we have been done in the last 20 years, not fulfilled, not complete, but we already have a path toward this economic inclusion of these people so they can continue climbing up the ladder of social and economic part of our society.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister. Very exciting initiatives, what you just introduced to us, and especially the angle and focus on the human rights, to ensuring the dignity and the equitable approach, but also the dignity in the matter of living, livelihoods, providing support through the environmental taxes, channeling back into the system. It's very innovative approach. And also, like we recognize from last year, UN General Assembly also adopted the resolution recognizing the clean and healthy planet is the human rights. So the clean and healthy environment. So removing the waste, we should have the right to live in the clean environment. So thank you very much, Madam Minister. Next, I'm inviting Ms. Heidi Solba to share some inspiration as the Let's Do It World NGO is behind the World Cleanup Day, which is one of the biggest global movements, raising awareness, mobilizing people, especially in one day, and having the tangible actions. But maybe you can also share how your movement, what you have been supporting and initiated globally, is impacting behavioral changes and is impacting the systematic changes which we need to avoid the waste pollution and to also advocate efficient waste management. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you. I'm representing Let's Do It World, a worldwide organization started from a small country from Estonia many years back. But the story is really inspirational. I think we made something which was not doable in the world. We made our country clean in just 5 hours, and it was a very inspirational story. From that on, the movement started to grow, and has been growing already into 164 countries. In those countries, we have active teams, also in Colombia, also in Gambia, also in Turkey. Let's Do It Turkey is here as well. We have many leaders around the world who are really having a really strong emotions regarding of the waste what we do have around us and are worrying about the future. So we did understand in our movement that in order to change the world, we have to have another really bold idea. So our bold idea is to clean up the world with 5% of the Earth's population. It could be really naive, it could be even stupid idea, but at the same time, I think we have already 16 countries in our network who have done this kind of massive engagement. You see, the cleanup is not the solution, and we are not the cleanup organization. We are the organization who want to change the world. And we know that in the moment when we have a critical mass of the people in the communities engaged in any kind of activity, we can make societal shift happen. And this is an important message. If we talk about the waste issues around the world, we are talking about billions of people who doesn't care, who doesn't know, who doesn't have access, who doesn't have awareness, who have behavioral problems. So we want to address that. If we can, we address it only we have critical mass of the people in engagement. So yes, this year we engaged 19 million people from 198 countries and territories. We compared it to United Nations country list. It was 91% of the United Nations countries who were involved. In some countries, we involved millions of people. During the 6 years of the World Cleanup Day, we engaged 95% of the countries into the World Cleanup Day from United Nations list. And we have been witness a societal shift as well. And it's not just only the change, what we want to have in people's behavior, but furthermore, we are catalyzing also cross-sectoral cooperation. We're bringing together governments, we are bringing together media, we are bringing together young people and different kind of organizations. In the moment when it's happening, in the moment when we have this kind of critical mass, the change is happening. And we are witnessing this change. And this is what we have to do in this world, to make the change and boost the collaboration. This is the most important thing. Because with the waste, we are dealing really crucial and really, how can I say, big problem, which doesn't have very easy solutions. And for the solutions, we have to cooperate. So I think Let's Do It World in global level is demonstrating, no matter the cultures, no matter the political backgrounds, we are demonstrating the power to work together beyond the borders on the enemy, which is the waste and pollution in this world. So we can do it all. And I think when we have been engaging this kind of World Cleanup Day people into the actions, our leaders are not just working for their cleanups. We are working also with the young people, because education is really a huge part of systemic change. Education work with the young people, with the youth, and with the curriculums in the schools is really important. And our organization also working on zero waste principles, of course. The dedicated leaders are working also with local municipalities. So we try to work out any options and any possibilities how we can collaborate. We cannot take these organizations, and I speak on behalf of all the NGOs in this world, that they're just happening. For that, for behind all this kind of work, is dedicated human hours, dedicated families, dedicated millions of people who try to have the change in this world. We have to support this kind of organizations. And we have to work and collaborate in each country with the government and also with local municipalities to support this kind of NGOs who are working with the millions around the world. We have to bring really strong alliances to work. What is a systemic change in the societies? How we work with education, how we work with the waste management, what kind of innovation we could have, what is the best practices around the world, how we can change it really rapidly, really fastly. Because the cleanup, as I said, is not a solution. And also one thing, media is a very important part of the change maker. In the moment when media is breaking also attention into their most important topics in this world, then it's also making a lot of changes which is needed to do. And I'm really happy also to say that we have been twicely already went through the General Assembly of United Nations Habitat, United Nations itself, and the World Cleanup Day, what we are representing, will be official day from 20th of September 2024 as part of United Nations calendar. I really hope that the governments who are watching here and all the local municipalities are working really strongly with organization called Let's Do It World, working for the World Cleanup Day so we can engage critical mass, so we can have a societal shift and strong changes, not just globally, but also locally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Solba, and congratulations to be recognized. Mr. Valentin Lavey. Usually, where the topics are getting very interesting and passionate is when we engage into, we enter to the formula, the word money. So we know what capacity needs to be built, or we know also what technology maybe is available, but especially focusing on the developing regions, Global South. So how to make sure that necessary investments are channeled, or how to make these waste management investments attractive to the investors. Based on your experience, we are very excited to hear now.
Thank you so much for the question. So maybe as an introduction first, I'm a consultant. I represent a strategy consultancy, and that should be first of a shock that you see a waste management practice in a strategy consultancy, because usually we don't address that kind of topic. So first of all, I would say we don't address waste management. Let's talk about resource management, and then we will all understand that there is a critical value behind all the waste that we have been discussing now for the past minutes. Global South is indeed one of the regions where we have most of the pressing challenges. We supported last year the COP27 presidency in launching an initiative for Africa called 50 by 2050, with the unique ambition to raise from 5% to 50% the recycling rate of waste, from 5% today to 50% by 2050. So when we say that at the global level we barely manage 45% of our waste, in a continent so big like Africa, we only collect, treat, and recycle 5%. This, when we transform it into economic and financial opportunities, represent $300 billion just to go from 5% to 50% by 2050. $300 billion. When we first published this number last year at COP27, everyone was looking at, are you sure this is possible? This is 300 billion. And we had to confirm that it was actually the conservative scenario. What really happened is that as soon as this number went out and got published, we got phone calls from investment boards from the entire planet that said we want business cases to invest into the waste management industry. Because everyone knows this is a valuable industry. Waste management is a profitable industry. That has always been the question why municipalities are actually trying to outsource it. They would never outsource school or hospital management. They would always consider outsourcing waste management. Why is that? So now when you talk about investment in these value chains and you look at the global source, there are three main points to consider. The first one is because it's a strategic move. It's a strategic move to address the regions that have below the average collection and recycling rates. because collectively, I think we all share the same ambition to raise the situation. The second objective is environmental. Because in these countries, in the global south, that maybe don't have the same level of industrialization, the waste management component is actually a critical part of the GHG emission. At the international level, we still don't know. Is it 3%, 5% that the waste management sector represents in terms of greenhouse gas emission? We don't know. But in the global south, we know it's more. So addressing the waste management issues means that we can help the global south to actually address their NDCs more rapidly. And there is an environmental incentive in doing so. The third objective is socio-economic. We have been discussing about the job creation from the application of circular economy principles. There is a study that got published a few years ago by the International Labour Organization that says that if by 2030 we were to apply the circular economy principle, we would create 45 million jobs globally. And if we were to implement formalized waste management, we would add 50 million jobs on top of it. So we are discussing 95 million jobs in the next 7 years that we could create collectively at the global level just by handling our waste. Name another sector that could create so many jobs. So global south should be our priority, but of course resource management is a global topic and we should not forget about the other continents.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lavey. And what you have just stressed out, and a huge amount of money which needs to be invested. But what I most likely liked is that we are not talking about waste management, but the resource management. It's actually the resource, even if it's not in use, but we actually can give the new life. And I think all of you have heard now some inspirational initiatives from the local government level, from the foundations, NGOs, from the private sector, and the central government level. And I'm also getting messages from, for example, my friends from Bogota, that we have viewers across the world. So Madam Minister also has a fan club here, I see. So definitely, unfortunately, we don't have time to ask the questions from the audience, but we have a final round with all the panelists, and we have 7 distinguished, excellent panelists. Each of you, please, one recommendation. From your perspective, or what you just heard, what could help the cities improve and avoid to have a waste pollution? But what is the tangible recommendation for? It doesn't have to be city governments. It can be the people. It can be the multiple stakeholders. So we can actually have a very good collaboration, compilation, of the recommendations. I start from my left side, and we go one by one. So think on what you have just heard. Give some creative and inspirational final point from your perspective. You have the floor, Mr.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you just mentioned that we heard from so many different angles, and everyone sharing the way how they address it from their side. And I think this is really where the solution lies, that we need collaboration amongst all of the different stakeholders. We need regulation from the central government. This is often the most effective way when it comes on giving regulations on circular design, so that waste is prevented in the first place before products are being put on the market, but also regulations on how waste management is being implemented, that it's being done in a just way that includes also informal sector workers that operate as micro-entrepreneurs, the municipalities who are in charge for the municipal waste collection, and then the combination of private sector initiatives that can either be in the form of social business entrepreneurs, of NGOs, And I would also say even the academic sector that is important when it comes to the education of the next generation. So I think the message is really for all of them to collaborate and work together, and remember that it's not upon each of us to wait for someone to take the first step. You know? We should not wait for our governments to establish a policy. In the end, it's the individual action that matters, and each of us is part of an organization, is part of either a business, a government, an organization where we work in, and we also have an influence within our community, within our families, where we live. So each of us has also the responsibility of every day when we make a decision on the way on how we consume, which products we use, which businesses we support by purchasing from these businesses, through which we can make an impact.
Thank you. Thank you. And I invite the others, the rest of the panels, to keep it maximum 1 minute or even less. Very concise and very straight to the point. What will be the recommendation? Mr. Kurum, you have the floor.
Evet, çok teşekkür ediyorum.
I would like to thank all panelists. We need laws to be passed by the central government, but we need to be sincere and aware of the situation. It's about a culture, it's about a life philosophy. Civilization goes back to 1800 on this territory. People were gatherers. Back in 1800, there were tradespeople, merchants. They were collecting waste back in those years. It is in our culture. And again, back in 1800, those people who collected wasted food fed animals, street animals with that food. Back in those years, there was an animal hospital on this territory. Maybe that was a first in the world back then. So my recommendation is to raise awareness and sincerity, along with passing laws. We should think of our future and children.
Concrete laws and awareness raising, and we had previously collaboration. Madam Mayor, what is your very concrete recommendation?
Thank you very much. I think I'm going to be very, very brief. As I said from the beginning, and I'm happy that it is also buttressed by my colleagues here, especially both the ministers, who actually agree with what I said, that is to say that waste management is no more the business of only local government or the mayors, but together we can solve the problem of waste management. Thank you.
Collaboration and empowerment of the collaboration. Thank you. Mr. Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much. We learned a lot today. I'm glad colleagues came to Istanbul. I'd like to thank you for moderating this panel. It was very, very enriching. We can look at this from different angles. In my opinion, what matters is once we were all children, now we have children. Education starts from mothers, families. We should raise awareness among mothers.
That was very, very precise and also very accurate. All the behavioral changes are coming, starting from home. And I think that Istanbul is definitely one of the destinations I have most visited, like more than any other cities in the world. So always happy to come back. Thank you for hosting us here. Madam Minister.
Thank you very much. I would like to repeat my first phrase. Wealth for whom? Maybe this waste management is a worldwide opportunity to create economic justice, because people in the lowest step of the economic and society ladder can climb fast to have some equality in this very unequal world.
Equality. Thank you. Ms. Solba.
Yes, indeed. We are working with awareness and with a change of behaviors in the society. That's true. And I think in the end of the day, everything about the humans, because data is created by humans, innovation is created by humans, change in the society is created by humans. So this human factor is really important. And each single person who is living in this earth wants to have a feeling and knowledge that they are creating an impact and I'm worth something. So I'm giving really practical solution, I think, working with all my life with the people, that people, if you want to have the change, you have to engage. This is the first number. Engage different kind of parts of the society, the voices from the city itself, from the communities, and try to find the solutions together in the city level, local municipality level. In this way, they feel that they're engaged. They can create different kind of ideas, and they are motivated to implement it. And that's the last time, it is really important part of it. And yes, let's work on awareness, let's work on behavioral change, and let's collaborate. Thank you.
Thank you. So concurring with the previous ones, and now Mr. Lavey.
I will definitely echo my colleagues regarding the cooperation, and I will invite them to join the Waste to Zero initiative that the UAE government is launching at COP28 in a few days now in Dubai. I like the awareness as well, but let's not forget that without infrastructure, we can be aware, we can be careful, but we need also infrastructure to collect and to treat and to recycle the waste. I think it's a major important element. And I'd like just to mention a use case from the region very, very close to us. Saudi Arabia, a few years ago, used to be achieving 5% landfill diversion. 5%. It's very minimal. They have a very strategic ambition to reach 95% by 2035. Because they found out that, once again, this is a profitable industry, and that their main investment fund invested into waste management. So they put the money after the state put the master planning activities. And so that's why I think the public sector should not shy away from putting the basic foundation of the master planning, and then the private sector will come and will chip in. And then we can be ambitious and look forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Navai. And throughout the day, there has been experts from the UN Habitat also following the different discussions and also this roundtable. And what is proposed, I have 5 recommendations here, which are now combined from your inputs and also throughout the day, from the beginning, which is the waste to wealth related topics. And I will read them out, and then we will have a round of applause to concur and adopt these recommendations. It's just to inform. So national governments should implement sustainable resources and waste management and a just transition to a circular economy aimed at minimizing waste, decreasing environmental pollution, protecting and promoting the livelihoods and well-being of waste workers through policies. City authorities should plan ahead of anticipated migration and growth, identifying in advance land required for waste management infrastructures such as sanitary landfills, composting plants, recycling plants, and so on and so forth. City authorities should prepare master plans to address waste management issues using evidence-based methodologies such as UN Habitat's Waste-Wise Cities tool, considering inter-cities collaboration. City authorities should develop strategies to improve and set up sustainable financial mechanisms to fund sound and efficient waste management services for all. And business, industry, academic, and research institutions should come forward with innovation and research to advance circular design and extend the life of products, replaces products with services, and promote sustainable production and consumption. which is a very good list of substantive recommendations or insights from throughout the day related to waste to wealth. Thank you very much for the distinguished panelists. Round of applause. But kindly, please be seated. We will have now the conclusion of the day. So I invite now Ms. Katerina Peskachina, who is the Chief of Communication and Media Section, UN Habitat. Please, the closing remarks. So we are not leaving the stage open. We are now on the stage, part of that ceremony.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I think it was a very inspiring day that we celebrated. It was one of the biggest celebrations that we had so far of the World Cities Day. And we are really happy that we are coming to the end of this day. So let's give a round of applause to all our speakers, all our experts, and all our esteemed participants. Thank you very much. We had a lot of things, and I just also want to say that we mentioned the city of Bogota that was following World Cities Day online and participated online, but I also want to say that there were 259 cities that were participating in this year in the World Cities Day. There were also 17 different national observances of World Cities Day that were taking place today in different parts of the world. And today in the morning during our opening session, we had 580 participants here in person in the room in this hall that were participating in the World Cities Day. So I think it was really a lot of people. And we are really happy that they were all hearing this inspiring speeches. So now we are coming to the end of this wonderful day. And it was co-organized by UN Habitat, which is the United Nations body that is responsible for sustainable urban development, and with the government of Turkiye, with the municipalities of Turkiye, with the municipalities of Uskudar here. And I would like to invite on stage the representatives of the Turkish side to give the closing remarks. And it is my pleasure to welcome on stage the president of the municipalities, of Turkish municipalities, and also the mayor of Balıkesir, Mr. Yücel Elmaz. He has the honor to deliver the closing statement. Thank you.
Evet, çok değerli katılımcılar.
Distinguished participants, speakers, this is the end of the day. We were here since the morning. We talked about cities, economy, climate change, fast urbanization, changing cities, and laws and legislation. It was a productive day. I'd like to thank Uskudar municipality for this warm hospitality. Valuable speakers came from across the world. I'd like to thank them. We want to have a better future, and you presented different viewpoints. I'd like to thank all the participants. I hope we get very fruitful results out of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yilmaz, for this closing remarks. And as I said, so we are really happy, and we would like to now say thank you for the wonderful hospitality of Turkiye to finish to celebrate this day with us. We also want to say thank you to the municipality of Uskudar, who was working with us and worked very hard. And also, I would like to say thank you for all the technical teams, everyone who was spending a lot of sleepless nights preparing this event. So it was our pleasure to work with you. We were really happy to see you in Turkiye, in Uskudar. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. And we would like to declare this day, World Cities Day, officially closed. The Urban October is also closed with this day, and we hope to see you next year. We have another Urban October in 2024 that will start with World Habitat Day that is going to be celebrated in Querétaro, in Mexico. So we hope to see you there, and we hope to have wonderful contributions. And we are going to be talking about young people there. Thank you. We invite everyone to come on stage for a big family photo. Can we invite from the teams from UN Habitat, from Uskudar, to come on stage for a photo?